Walt Disney features are supposed to be the lifeblood of the box office, accounting for 50% of all box office revenue in some years where the box office did pretty fantastic. But now it seems like, unless the MCU is doing well, nobody's doing well. And theater owners are now saying they don't have faith that Disney is going to bring the goods in 2025. Let's talk about a new report out of Variety here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and a man who was bit by a radioactive ride vehicle, Mr. Vash Sky. Vash, do you have the power of an attractions ride vehicle?
Yeah, I'm like the enhanced motion vehicle from Indiana Jones or Dinosaur over there in Animal Kingdom, just rocking and rolling everywhere. Have all kinds.
That's right.
Of
Don't get
and
any ketchup, mayo, or mustard on them. Let's look at this story out of Variety here from Adam B. Very. Adam B. Very helpful in writing this article for us. Super burnout with most superhero movies flopping. Can Marvel and DC's 2025 slates reverse an unprecedented box office drought? This is one of those stories that is honestly a bit of a tragedy when you think about it, because superhero films have been very controversial over the years. For instance, that Mr. Martin Scorsese said some unkind things about superhero films himself. We forgive him of those because we're just going to be talking about the numbers here. Of course, those numbers do enter into it. Let's see, we got our Deadpools. I'm thinking this is Aquaman, but I don't remember Aquaman having yellow eyes. Sony Pictures, however, billed Venom: The Last Dance as the final chapter in Tom Hardy's alien symbiote buddy comedy franchise. I remember the first one was pretty good, but with its 51 million domestic opening weekend, 44 and 55% lower than the previous two installments, the movie also signifies the continued twilight of superhero cinema as the dominant force at the box office. Superhero movies used to be an indispensable revenue driver for the film industry in 2018 and 2019. Hey, that's one of my favorite years to examine. The average global gross for a superhero fair was more than $1 billion. This year, it's half that, even with the record-breaking success of Deadpool and Wolverine. In fact, Ryan Reynolds' Hugh Jackman vehicle is the only comic book movie that could qualify as a hit since Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse debuted in June of 2023. I think that one is more of an asterisk because it's an animated film and did well for an animated film. Vash, when was the last time you watched a superhero film for fun? Did you see Deadpool and Wolverine?
I did. Yeah, I did see Deadpool and Wolverine in theaters. I thought that was a pretty great one to actually go see. And then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 I did see last year. So I've seen a couple, but actually before those two, I can't really say I saw any superhero films at the box office outside of Avengers Endgame. That was obviously 2019. So I think this article is really hitting on something pretty critical here. I think there has been a downturn in terms of people's anticipation for this superhero fair.
I think you're right. And here is some of that downturn. Film after film, from The Flash to The Marvels to Madam Web, open to, at best, a shrug, and at worst, outright rejection. Joker: Folie à Deux is on track to earn the ignominious distinction of making less in its entire box office run than its predecessor's 248 million global opening weekend in 2019. I did go see The Marvels in theaters, and that film, as I often say, is incomplete. Here we go. Here's the rise right here in 2000. I'm going to guess that if this is 2000, that's probably X-Men. 2002, probably Spider-Man. I may be off. I'm sure someone in the comment section can help us out. I'm going to say 2012. This would be around Avengers.
Yep,
and right here is Avengers Endgame. And that is a lot. This must just be domestic. No, this is just superhero movies, average global gross. Okay, so I was going to say, because we were just looking at the figures before we started, and Avengers Endgame is like 2.75 billion global gross right now.
That line would have been double if we were looking at just box office growth.
Yes.
I guess we're looking at averages. And look, the averages were going up, but I would say, Jonas, looking at this graph right here, I mean, everybody's going to point to the pandemic and being the biggest thing and all that. I get that 100%, but I would say 2016, 2018, we saw a shift away from delivering what the audience expected or wanted from these films and more creative messaging, let's
Yeah,
say.
I would say I'd say you're right. There was a little bit of that in this year, right here. We had Star Wars and Avengers incorporating
Mm-hmm.
a light amount of LGBT content
Yeah.
in here. We had a gay guy at the support group talking about crying at a date with a dude, and of course, not a superhero film, but Star Wars: The Rise of Palpatine, a more appropriate
Mm.
name for that film. Obviously had a gay kiss in the background on that one. There were light smatterings of this. Of course, it's also coincides with the premiere of Disney Plus, which incorporated all kinds of stuff like that into the pillar brands of Disney. Of course, animated films eventually adding into that trend. But continuing on, between 2015 and 2019, 25 out of 30 superhero titles took more than 500 million in worldwide, some considerably so. After the pandemic, that dynamic has been flipped on its head. Since 2022, 10 of 17 superhero titles, 59% of them, made less than 500 million globally, some considerably so. Especially if we're talking about Disney-sized budgets, they probably need to get more in that 600, even $800 million range before they make any actual money. In fact, there is a report out of Forbes and Miss Caroline Reed that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania came home with 88K, 88,000, not million, $88,000 from the box office. We're going to be looking into that one in another video.
Mm.
Now, there's a lot here about the expansion of cinematic universes and things like that, and we could go deep into what went wrong with the superhero genre. Obviously, DC pretty much from after the perception of Batman versus Superman and
Yeah.
how poorly they mistreated Zack Snyder. No matter what you think of Zack Snyder, WB did him wrong with the production of Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
And the bungling of having Joss Whedon come in and make half a Zack Snyder film and half a Joss Whedon Justice League film completely ridiculous, and continuous changes there. Of course, Sony, great line here. Sony was trying to build a universe of live action Spider-Man characters without Spider-Man. Kraven the Hunter should be coming out, I think, later this year. I don't personally care when it comes out. But here's the king of the pile here. After opening just Deadpool and Wolverine in 2024, Marvel Studios is ramping back up to 3 films: Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and The Fantastic Four First Steps. This right here has me worried for what this film is going to be about. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the quote that we want to get to. There are no slam dunks here, says exhibitor relations analyst Jeff Bach. There's still a lot of goodwill for Marvel. It's still the biggest show in town. But to think that these are going to do Deadpool and Wolverine business, I just don't see that for any of these films. A significant factor facing Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts is how much they rely on characters and plot lines from several earlier MCU titles, including Disney Plus shows The Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I just watched that again. It is an eternal snooze, and Hawkeye, in the feature films Black Widow, Eternals, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain America Civil War, and even 2008's The Incredible Hulk. I forgot that Ant-Man and the Wasp is actually involved in Thunderbolts because the character of Ghost is going to be in there. In fact, when I saw that character, I thought it was a new character. I'm going to
It's a lot
say
of homework.
if that character, played by Erica Kamen Rider, forgive me, I forget her full name here, but it's not really a charming character. They got a lot of those. Here's one from Eric Davis. Here is Disney's current theatrical release calendar for 2025. This one, February 14th, Valentine's Day, also part of Black History Month. We noticed that a lot of companies are moving to what some have cynically referred to as Shield Month. Captain America: Brave New World will be going here. We're not hearing very many good things about that one. Disney's Snow White coming out in March of 2025. This one, both of these films are at least in the $400 million range, we're hearing by rumors. The Amateur, don't know what it is. Thunderbolts right here, May the 2nd. Film Threat, is telling me that they have contacts that say that Thunderbolts might surprise some people. It's
Mm,
not going to save everything, but that it might be a better film than people are expecting. This right here, Lilo and Stitch, is a Disney Plus movie that is being moved into theaters. That is a move we're seeing a lot of lately, and I'm going to say
mm,
it's mostly for cost cutting reasons. Elio, right here, that is a film that is currently being redone. They just recast one of the main characters in the movie. They just announced that at the big D23 Expo. So that was yanked. It was supposed to come out pretty close to Inside Out 2 of this year. And right
right.
here, I think this should be a good film. The Fantastic Four: First Steps, soundtrack by Michael Giacchino. It's got a big cast. It's possible it's good, but we won't know until we get there. There's nothing that I would want to put money on at this point. Vash, looking at the rest of this, Freakier Friday, Tron Ares, Predator Badlands, Zootopia 2, and Avatar Fire and Ash. Actually, I do know if I wanted to bet what would make more than $1 billion. I
Yeah.
do know which one I would
Yep.
anticipate.
Avatar Fire and Ash for sure is going to be at the top of that list right there. But again, it's 20th Century Fox production right there, and James Cameron. So the royalties and how that all works is a little bit interesting. But definitely the company has a lot of confidence in that, I'll say. Elio is going to be interesting to watch because, man, there's a lot of crunch. It's going to have to happen there. Freakier Friday, I feel like that was like just announced. So to have it wind up officially on a 2025 slate, didn't quite expect, but pretty good stuff right there. But the superhero films, for sure, I think we're going to be at a deficit right from jump. I don't see Captain America Brave New World really doing all that great numbers at the box office. It really has to. We've heard that this film has been reshot a couple times now, extensive reshoots, plus $400 million film. This thing's really got to be a banger. I just don't see it. Thunderbolts might surprise, but I don't really get any anticipation for that film. Also, too, I think the slot is interesting. I would have maybe had Thunderbolts in the slot that Captain America Brave New World was in, but potentially they, maybe it's they see that it has a chance to do more success in that slot there in the early summer. Interesting. Fantastic Four,
right.
I think.
I mean, Captain America, you would automatically assume that would be, oh, put that on July 4th. Independence Day, famously.
Yeah.
I got to watch Independence Day. Actually, the movie starts July 2nd. I do believe that one, if it's even vaguely America themed, you should probably put it there. But of course, I don't think Captain America Brave New World actually has much to do with actual America, other than it's just like probably going to be an intrigue thing. Again, unless they're going to have a red, white, and blue Hulk, I don't think there's actually much patriotism to do with it. Mostly the new Captain America, otherwise known as Captain Falcon, seems to be saying that America should do better, as opposed to America is not living up to its ideals. Fantastic Four: First Steps. I think if that movie's good, word of mouth could get people into theaters on that one. But I'm not expecting much from anything here other than Avatar: Fire and Ash. And if that makes less than $1 billion, I think everyone is going to. It's not going to take much for people to re-examine James Cameron if that one doesn't deliver. But I think that one's going to deliver.
I think it's good to deliver. I'm tired of not believing in James Cameron and having him prove us all wrong here.
Right,
so
right.
I'm just gonna.
It used to drive me nuts. It used to. So,
Yes.
Vash, is there anything else we need to bring up before we wrap this one up?
Well, I think there's been a shift in terms of audience reception to these superhero films, and the quality really has to be up. And honestly, frankly, the quality hasn't really been up for these superhero films by and large ever since 2019's Endgame. I think that was kind of the ceremonial closing of that franchise right there of the MCU, because once those top tier characters stepped away, I think what had been dragging down the MCU really became apparent at that point, right? It's one thing to add in messaging and all this kind of stuff when everything's on a high and you got all your stars and actors and all the great memories associated with those. But when those people step out and the stories really have to take center stage, you really have to do all that you can to set up new superheroes, new stars that can really carry that franchise. And you don't do that. And in turn, you not only don't do that, but you also include some of this messaging and stuff and start delivering stuff that the people don't necessarily want to see or don't have a hunger for, then you get into some real problems. So I think Marvel has been really mishandled, and DC was mishandled early on because, well, it was DC trying to catch Marvel's coattails and follow them, and leadership changes and all that really did a number on that. But to see Marvel rise and fall the way it has really is a tragedy, like you said before at the start of the show.
Yeah, I think that there was obviously we're talking about Dark Universe, which for those of you who are new to this, Dark Universe was the universe that Universal was trying to launch by making a Universal Monsters movie franchise, or the Spider-Verse movie franchise, not Into the Spider-Verse, but a Spider-Verse movie franchise. Like, everyone was trying to do cinematic universes. Of course, Fox was the closest one when they rebooted the X-Men franchise and then decided to pretend that it was actually part of the previous X-Men franchise. So we all thought that there was a secret sauce over there at Marvel that was making these things great. But really what it was you had a solid series of films and some A's and B's. And when they decided to tie them all together, for better or worse, when that plot line totally resolved itself in Avengers Endgame, people lost interest, and they took for granted that it was whatever season of The Office didn't have Michael Scott in it. That's essentially what you have after Avengers Endgame. There might be some funny moments. It may be the same quality of scripts, but and it's not the same quality of scripts. I just need to make sure that no one misinterprets me there. But it's just not going to hit in the same way. They've taken the audience for granted, and they need to do something to get butts in seats. And you only have so many people who used to be in Marvel movies, not in the MCU, to call back at this point. Tobey Maguire's, Hugh Jackman's, there's a finite list of people there. And now, of course, Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Tony Stark or Victor Von Doom. That's obviously that. I think this is the last time that you're going to be able to pull that trick in order to get people into theaters, or you may end up doing whatever Kathleen Kennedy did over there by murdering all the primary characters of the Star Wars franchise. It's just you got to fix this before people lose interest entirely. You can't have an entire other year of this. Maybe Fantastic Four: The First Steps is going to be a step in the right direction. Oh, by the way, they can't be filthy R-rated comedies, all of them. That would be another misstep on Marvel's part if they learned the wrong lesson from Deadpool and Wolverine. That's enough of me talking. We want to hear what you have to say. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Of course, like this video if you found it helpful in any way, and it helps us to boost us in the algorithm. And of course, consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.